Welcome back. You guys know who I am probably and why I'm here, because I own a Range Rover stupidly. Again, because I own a Range Rover, what happens? Oh, they're broken. And every time I buy one, they're broken. So what are we going to fix? Well, hopefully a broken Range Rover. So today's problem is parking sensors. On this one, the rear sensors don't work. Now, if just your front ones don't work, the chances are you've got a fault on the front sensors. If your front and rear don't work, it means you've got a fault on your rear sensors, because the rear is like a master set and they override the front. So what do I get? Basically I put it into park, does nothing, but as soon as it goes, detects something, it goes beep, gets stuck, and I get the light flashing on the dashboard, which I will show you now. So what does this mean? Well, we'll plug it in, see what the code says, and we'll go from there. I already know what the fault is, pretty sure anyway. So hopefully we can fix it. I don't know if it's the right part, because annoyingly there seems to be a different set of sensors every generation from what I can find out. This is a 2005, so it's a crossover. So this is a crossover from the BMW era to the start of this sort of Ford Jaguar era, which means it's got the Jag engine, but some of the electrics and dashboard inside is still the BMW setup, so I don't actually know which sensor it is. Now, I have got these sensors, which I'll put a link to, or part number in the description. I used these previously on a 2007. When I also had issues, I changed the control module over from 2003 to 2007, and it worked. So they're obviously the same. So we'll give these a go and see what happens. When we whack it in reverse, beep, flashing, beep stops. So the flashing means there's a fault in the parking sensors and they are disabled. So what we get here in parking aid is rear right ultrasonic sensor. So let's take a look. Alright, I'm going to try the cheap method a minute and just try and pop one of these sensors out. Obviously I risk damaging the bumper, risk damaging the housing on the sensor. Sensor doesn't matter, it's broken anyway. Bumper, it's already been reversed into a wall and multiple things, so it doesn't matter. The proper way of doing it is to pop up this panel, remove these 5 screws underneath, remove the screws along the back here, pop out the push pin at the bottom of the bumper there, and a screw on the wheel arch there, and then the bumper pop out each side and it will slide off backwards. Done it multiple times before. For now I'm going to try a cheap method because I don't mind damaging the bumper or the sensor, because yes, they're both knackered. There we go. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't just absolutely butcher that. But what I did do was pick out the inside part of the sensor, and then got a pick in behind, got it out of here, and used it to pull it through. Now some of them you can get some access through the back to sort of punch them out through. Again, the proper way, most of the easier way, is take the bumper off. Unless you want to risk damaging your bumper or anything like that, then take your bumper off. But there we go, it's out now, so we can unhook it from its housing, see if I got the right one, and go from there. There's the old bit removed. Now that one has got multicoloured, but it is a factory one, so new ones are black. Let's just pop that there a minute. Reset the fault codes and see if we still got a fault a minute. So I've just reset the faults. Still got a fault. Okay, so still got a fault. I've just listened to these, and you probably can't hear it on camera, but they're ticking. So ticking, ticking, ticking. New one is fitted, not ticking. Let's work out why. I'm doing a bit of investigation here. Now doing it the hard way. Pin number 1, 12 volts. Pin number 3, ground. So we've got power there. Obviously the signal pin goes back to AC module, control module. So I'm not sure without testing enough one of them to see if there's meant to be a signal there. But nothing. Let's try a second. So even with the reverse off on the car, we've still got 12 volt on ground, which means that these seem to have permanent power. So I thought when they have permanent power they would click and then send the signal back if need be. But no, it turns out they have basically two-way communication on the signal pin and then permanent power. So they get activated by signal from the control module. So that can either mean we're getting no signal from the control module, so we've got like a damaged cable or damaged control module, or that sensor isn't compatible and I need the earlier type. I guess the one way to check would be try another sensor, or take out one of the front ones and put it in to test that. I'm not going to be bothered though, but I kind of need to, because if another sensor doesn't work there, I know it's a fault with the wiring or control module. If it does, I know it's the wrong sensor. Never easy, is it? Done a smart thing. Pop that sensor out, swap them over, no clicking. Put the new sensor over here to try it, and it clicks and works fine. So, we've got an issue between the data cable that goes to here, to the parking module in the boot, which is, from memory, that white one there, I think. I'll check it out now. Google. It's either that one or it's behind that lot. I'll do a quick bit of searching, I think, and see what's what. That's annoying. Yeah, that might be a trailer module. We'll see. I can't remember now. It's been a while since I've done it. But I'll let you guys know in a minute. Being the genius that I am, yeah, that one was the trailer one. The parking module is the one with 3 connectors on the back here. Connector 1, which is what I've removed there, the white one, is the rear sensors. Connector 2, black one in the middle, is the power and signal and so on for the vehicle. And the third one is the front sensors. So basically the front sensors and the rear sensors have the same wiring colours, at least on the sensors themselves. So, and there's our pin numbers on that. So, what I had to do to work that out was pretty easy. Put it in reverse, had the power on, read the fault codes, pulled out a plug, read the fault codes, worked out which one corresponded to the front, which one corresponded to the rear, and which one powered it down. Easy. Or I could just looked at like the rave manuals or whatnot and actually found out properly what it's meant to do, but that's too easy, isn't it? So, yeah. What we've now got is all these pins here obviously correspond with the cables going to the sensors. So I'll attach the diagram on screen now, and we're basically going to test continuity from here back down to the sensor cable and see what we get. I'm hoping for no continuity, because that would mean that we have a fault, and that's why the sensor doesn't work. If we do have continuity between the signal pin number 2 there and the pin there, that means we've got an issue with the actual module itself. So I know pin number 2 there goes to pin number 10. So what I've done is just back probed in, clipped onto it, which power probe puts out a ground signal, and I've been using that to probe the connector up here and test what I get. And we get nothing on pin number 10, which is annoying. But I verified the other 2, which is pin number 2 and number 6, and they both have continuity because the ground's going through them. Could also just put it on continuity mode, and that would do the same thing. So this unfortunately isn't the best diagram. I couldn't find anything else. If you've got the L322 wiring diagrams, you'll have this in there somewhere. I just checked the workshop manual, although it had a great description of how to diagnose all these sensors. Most is self-explanatory, to be honest. So yeah, there's the diagram. You can see you've got pin 1, 2, 3. 1 being power, 3 being ground, 2 being signal. And then it shows you there exactly what pin numbers it is, where to go back to. And that's it. So just, yeah, check continuity and find what's dodgy. So we have a wiring fault between there and here. Great. Which is likely there's a multi-plug that sits in here somewhere, which joins all the bumper parking sensor electrics onto it. That's probably the culprit, that or a damaged cable. Obviously if you had the bumper off, you should better find that one. I'm pretty sure it's not down here, I'm pretty sure it's under the car, I think. I'll have a little feel around, but I think it's under the car. I can take it on this and have a look. Maybe I'll do a Google. Yeah, somewhere there's a multi-plug. That's probably it. Now, what's the easiest way of me running a little cable out down to that one? Because I don't want to take the bumper off now, I've gone this far. Obviously, you guys don't have to bodge your cars, but this one isn't a good one. So I have linked a cable from a sensor output to there. Now, it would have been easier in the end to take off the bumper, because the likelihood is the cable's broken where they run across the next to the rear bumper bar, or at the connector. So I could have found that if the bumper was off, but I'm just showing you guys every way around it. So ideally, take the bumper off. You probably trace out the fault quite easily. Pop the sensor out much easier. Done. But you don't have to remove the bumper. Remember, I'm not necessarily telling you the best way to fix it, just a way to fix it. So I haven't tried it yet. Let's reset the fault codes. See what happens. Success. Sorted. Well, that certainly gave me a run around, didn't it? I couldn't just change the sensor, could I? No. Turns out that sensor, when I butchered out of there, I actually was probably absolutely fine. Whoops. Oh well, these things happen. Sensors are cheap anyway, which I think is, they're like £8, no, not even that. Well, they were about £4 a sensor. So, yeah, not expensive one bit. But, if anything, provided content, so I can show you guys what to do, what not to do, and how to fix it-ish. So yeah, smart thing to do would be remove the bumper, then you can see all the wiring, you can unplug them properly, much easier. I just couldn't be asked, so I thought I'd try it the hard way. So yeah, that's fixed. Now obviously back on the channel there is plenty of L322 videos, like they are my most popular videos, and thank you guys very much for that because I get constant views on them, and they seem to help a lot of people out, which is the whole reason I've done it. So if this video helped you out, then why not drop a video a like, give me a comment, obviously subscribe for more. As long as I own an L322, there's always been more videos because they always break. And for some reason, I enjoy fixing them, hence why I seem to buy them and fix them. I don't know what's wrong with me. Someone please help. But until then, I'll see you guys next time, like in a few minutes I think, for another L322 video. So thank you for watching. Cheers.